Highlands, Light FM. Good morning, hello, buenos dias, and all of that. We're at 8:41 now, 19 before 9.
Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation.
And all that means time to check in on your money and see what's going on Wall Street this morning with the help of Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring. Philip, good morning. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Dave. Doing well. It is doing some educational stuff. Started yesterday, so it starts at 10 and I go to 7 o'clock every night. So it is it weighs on you, but you learn a lot of good stuff.
Oh, good heavens. That also means you're going to have your head in books instead of the market, so I've got to pay some attention to what's going on the day before, don't I?
Just a little bit. Just a little.
I was paying attention yesterday, and boy, oh boy, did the equity markets go crazy again. And my tip sheets were saying not only did we get some really good news from a couple of stocks that we'll get to in a minute or two, but Treasury Secretary Bessent said, quote, unquote, tensions have de-escalated in the talks with China, and that didn't hurt a bit either. The Dow ended up 516 points. Standard & Poor's 500 up 71. NASDAQ was up 311, and they were the biggest gainer. That's 1.37% in one day. I didn't get a chance to see what the Russell 2000 did. I'm betting a nickel it was okay, too.
It smoked everybody up almost 2%, 1.95%, $47.73.
Which is good news because the major indexes I was reading were driven heavily by Apple, who released some information saying they're selling the iPhone 17 like hotcakes, and I think that surprised everybody because as an iPhone user, I wasn't all that terribly excited about the 17. It didn't do anything particularly fancy new that my 16 didn't do, but evidently it's got the market on fire. They're actually selling more in China, which is really going a piece given the domestic competition they've got over there.
Well, it is. And the only thing I can think of, Dave, is maybe people skip the 16. And so now it's time. If they're like me, a lot of times I'll skip one and then go to the next one. So that could be very well what's driving the 17 today.
Might very well be. I'm in the same boat. I skip at least one, maybe two models, just on the grounds the darn things are so expensive these days, and Apple supports them out 3 years. So if I do one new model every 3 years, I generally stay in touch and keep up with the technology. But boy, I was surprised by the increase in sales anyway. Other tidbits going on that didn't hurt the market a bit yesterday was that those rare earths that we're arguing with China over, we got a new source of them. We signed an agreement to mine rare earths in Australia, and the Cleveland-based mining company announced it to be swinging pickaxes in Australia looking for rare earths, and that doesn't hurt things a bit from our perspective because that's really the biggest leverage China seems to have of late in terms of scaring the pants off of us. Oh, they're going to make it harder for us to buy the stuff that goes into our semiconductors and solar panels, and if we've got another source, all of a sudden it leaves China with a little bit less leverage. That has to help confidence in the market overall.
I would think so, Dave. It's nice to have somebody else on your side to help, fill in when the Chinese market gets eliminated. So, but it also means that maybe China will be a little bit more interested because, well, it's got to help their economy, us buying those earth materials.
Which, once again, an alternative source can only help the negotiations down the line. It does kind of lend some credence to Scott Bessent saying that, well, the tensions are a little lower. Well, okay, fine, we got an alternative source. All of a sudden, the biggest lever they've got goes away. China might be more willing to come to the table. Other things going on, we got to make mention of this. We were talking about it before we went on the air, that the price of precious metals is going through, let's just call it a correction, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. So we got silver and gold falling. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's silver's down significantly. Actually, it's come past its 21-day moving average. The article I read, the expectation is that it will probably bottom out. They think, who knows? But they think, looking at the charts and all that kind of stuff, that it'll come back to about the 50-day moving average, which is a little less than $44 an ounce, um, which is still good for where we've seen silver over the last 12 to 24 months.
I was going to say it was frittering around 21, 22 for the longest period of time in there. I'd say 44 would still be a skyrocketing increase in the price, wouldn't it?
It would be. So, still some good news there, but not
Oh,
if you bought it
absolutely.
at 52 though.
That's true. That's true. Coming from the guy who bought Bank of America at 50 20 years ago, yeah, it's sometimes it's where you bought it that makes the big difference. Bitcoin and the cryptos staged a bit of a comeback yesterday. Bitcoin peaked up over 111,000 again. It was kind of recovering as well, but I noticed it's falling off a little bit this morning, probably with a little bit more confidence in the equity markets, kind of driving it down by a bit. It's a volatile time in just about every submarket for investors, isn't it?
It is, Dave. A lot of volatility out there across the board, not just in the stock market, but the commodities market as well as the crypto market. So we continue to see volatility strike. And you're right, Bitcoin, I mean, right now it's down below 110,000. So it's, the question is, will it go back and touch? I think we saw it down right around 100 not too long ago.
Yeah, we got up to a high about 120. Boy, as a hedge commodity, it's not quite there yet, is it?
No, it's not. Definitely not.
A bunch of big names are on the slot for today. Most of them come after the market closes. But yesterday we got some interesting reports in too, as far as quarterly reports from the publicly traded companies. I understand GM had some decent news yesterday, huh?
GM did. GM really, it's kind of interesting because originally this morning, before they reported, they were actually trading down this morning, about
Ooh.
2.5% until the earnings came out, and they beat on earnings, both that and revenue. They also adjusted their full year expectations for their adjusted earnings per share. They expected to come in 975 to 1050, and that's quite a bit higher than what it was before. So it's really good news. They did see their, I think it was their net sales up like, I think it was them. No, that's Coca-Cola. Sorry, getting my reports mixed up here.
We've
But
got a
they're
bunch of
trading.
big names.
I
It's easy
know.
to get confused. Yeah.
So they're trading up today right now a little over 11%.
Wow, for a big
Yeah,
company that size, that's quite a bit. You mentioned Coca-Cola while you were looking at other columns. I gather they reported as well. How did they do?
they did. They had a good quarter as well, beating on revenue and on earnings. They came in and reiterated their full year forecast. Their case volume, the number of cases they moved, rose by 1%. Last
Hmm.
quarter, that number actually was a decline. So that was kind of a reversal there. So that was some good news for Coca-Cola. Net sales rose 5%, which is good. So all around, they seem to be doing pretty well. They're up about 2.75% right now.
Cool. I got to believe that case lot volume number is real important to management there. I don't remember what the current numbers are, but I remember when it used to be, when the Coke and Pepsi wars were at their hottest, Coke always won the fountain trade, but Pepsi periodically beat Coke on case lot trades in the grocery stores. So beating the others on a case lot trade, seeing a good growth, that has to be good for the company.
Yeah, definitely. Movement. So another popular company, the Post-it
Hmm.
note guys, 3M. They reported as well, beat on earnings, beat on revenue. And so I'm telling you, I'm looking at things today and I can't really find any losers today, Dave. They're trading up a little over 0.8% this morning. Remember, um, it was end of last week, I think, Zion Bancorp came out and
Yeah,
said something about their loan losses.
yeah.
Well, they weren't
They gave
reporting
they gave
anything.
rise to that big sell-off we had, triggered by the regional banks, if memory serves.
They did, but they weren't reporting anything. They were just giving some, hey, look, here's what's happening. They did release their earnings now. They beat on both sides, revenue and on earnings per share. Net interest income was 672 million for the period. That sounds pretty good to me. They're trading. I'm sorry, hit a wrong button here somewhere. Let's see. Not sure what they're trading at.
I'm betting it's a recovery after they scared everybody last week by telling them things stunk in one corner of the business.
I'm thinking so, but my link is not working for that one. It's taking me to the Dow 30, and that's not where I want to be. So I'm not sure exactly where it's at. But they did say the report says they were up 1%. Now I don't know if they're still up 1% or not. That was earlier this morning.
Sure.
Let's see what else we had come across. Philip Morris reported. They beat across the board as well, but they are trading down. They were up a little earlier when I looked at them. They're down 1.3% this morning. And then we got a couple aero defense companies. Northrop Grumman, they beat big. Came in at $7.67 a share. Their expectations was $6.46 a share. They did miss on revenue though, a little bit. They're trading down 1.3%. And the other one I had, well, actually I got three. GE Aerospace reported. They beat both on earnings and revenue. They're up 2.75%. So if you hit your metrics, you're okay.
I was going to say the ticker says that's up to a record profit, to a record stock price, and their profit outlook is the highest level in 9 years. That's good news for GE.
That's good news for GE Aerospace. Yeah. The last one I have for you is RTX. Again, another aerospace and defense company. They beat as well, $1.70 a share versus $1.41. Revenue ahead of expectations. They're up almost 5.5% this morning.
Wowzers. Resetting the table, it was a big green day yesterday, and every time there's a big party based upon political statements, I get nervous about the day that follows after a big green day one day. 45 minutes early, what are we looking at today, sir?
You know, it's not really popping much today, Dave. The Dow Jones is down, it's up 0.06%. That's like 27 bucks. The S&P 500 is up 4/100. That's $2.50. And we've got NASDAQ 100 down about $3 and the Russell 2000 down about $5. So kind of a mixed bag going forward. On the other side, though, Dave, I ain't got, red when it comes to the commodities market. Silver down by over 5% this morning, Dave. They're at $48.78 an ounce. Gold down almost 3.1% to $4,226 an ounce. That's down $132. Crude oil bouncing up this morning by a little over 1% to $57.61 a barrel.
Good heavens. I'm glad the markets are flat at the very least on the equity side. We had something good to say this morning, especially after all the quarterly reports we got. Across the ponds, things are relatively green. The peace in the valley as a potential on the Chinese-American trade relations helped everybody in the Asian Rim. The Chinese mainland markets were both up well over a full percent at the close. Over in Europe, a little peace in the valley doesn't hurt either. The average European index, not up as much as the Asian Rim, but still up by about 0.15%. Relatively flat, but green ink this morning halfway through their trading day, too. We got a couple of big things going on. Step number one, time to get your retirement in line. And secondly, we got Shred Day coming up this Saturday. Tell me more, Philip.
We do, Dave. Our annual Shred event, I think this is 12. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like it's about our 12th annual. And so we will be same place we were last year, across the street from First Baptist Church on the corner of East Center Avenue and Mango Street, right there on that grass parking lot. And then we will be there starting at 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. this year. A little earlier, try to beat the heat and get out of there. So come join us. bring your papers that need to be shredded. Now, we don't take anything that's, electronic or, the big gator clips or anything like that. Don't worry about staples. The machine will eat the staples. But yeah, no X-rays. We've had X-rays before. So, really paper products. That's it.
I've seen the oddest stuff come through that people want to recycle, and I get a kick out of it. Yeah, give the loose leaf notebooks to the kids for school supplies too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get rid of those, please. So,
Alrighty.
hey, other than that, Dave, don't forget they can still listen to us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m. and 95.3 FM.
And you can catch us again tomorrow morning here, same time on Light FM. I'll see you then, sir.
All right, man. Have a great day.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Philip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Don't forget Shred Day, big event. Come on down. Love to see you. Love to meet you. Until then, take care. Bye now.